They didn't hear you telling me to turn it on there, by the way, I hope.
So this Sunday, it's the Sunday we think of the call of the disciples in the sequence after Epiphany, and it's John 1 43 to 51.
Yeah, so I immediately think of Nathanael when I think about this gospel, not least because I have a son called Nathanael, and being a Bolton Wanderers fan, Nathaniel Lofthouse was our greatest son, the Lion of Vienna.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there you go.
Do many people outside of Bolton know this?
They don't. But I mean, Nathanael, I think, is the first skeptic certainly in John's gospel, the first real skeptic. His response to Philip's claim that come and see this rabbi who's the bee's knees is, can anything good come out of Nazareth? And I suppose one ought to remember that Cana, from where he was from, is to Nazareth as Waitrose is to Aldi. And Nazareth was regarded as a fairly rough old spot, full of foreigners and not especially holy. So what on earth are you talking about?
I think you're being a bit unfair to Aldi.
Oh, I thought you were going to say unfair to Nazareth. Oh, yeah, okay, it might be unfair to Aldi. No, I shop there all the time, please, yeah. So you can imagine him rolling his eyes at this prospect. And the danger of dismissal is ever present. We know that, of course, as Christians, because the Christian faith can be dismissed really quickly. And we live in, as I think I've said before, in a 21st century where skepticism is lauded. Oh, don't think you can fool me that easily, Doubt is regarded as a sign of intellectual ability and depth. And the prospect of being skeptical about our skepticism or doubting our doubts is not something that seems to figure very deeply in people's reflection, though perhaps it should. So Nathanael is skeptical, and yet, when Philip says, come and see, then, have a look, make up your own mind, he's willing to do so. So he's not so skeptical. And one could ask, why is it? Maybe he trusts Philip enough to say, you're credible, even though I don't believe a word of it. Let's come and have a look and see what the score is. And so he meets with Jesus, and Jesus says to him, here is an Israelite in whom there is no guile. And Nathanael's shocked. How do you know me? And he doesn't call him Lord at that point or anything like that. He's just challenged to the point of blurting out, how do you know me? Oh, I saw you before Philip called you from under the fig tree. And then Nathanael absolutely swings in an instant from being the complete skeptic about this to saying, oh, you are the King of Israel. You are the Messiah. Yeah. And I can't help but think that Jesus laughs at this point in his response to Nathanael, to say, as if to say, you believe because I saw you under a fig tree. And I wonder if this is the point in John's gospel where John is relating what in the synoptics we have Jesus as saying, repent. Slow down, think about your thinking here. Yeah. Don't swing from being the complete skeptic to the complete gullible believer. Think about your thinking. Yeah. But the second thing, and the intriguing thing that he then talks about is what Nathanael, if he accompanies Jesus, if he goes with Jesus, if he listens to Jesus and puts Jesus' teaching into action, will find is that here we have one. He will see the heavens opened and the angels of God ascending and descending on the Son of Man. That's what he says. And for somebody like Nathanael, that would have been a bit like for us Noah's Ark in Sunday Club. He'd know exactly what that meant. That actually what happened in Jacob's dream was he woke up to say, this is the gate of heaven, having dreamed about a ladder and angels going up and down. So he would know that what Jesus is saying is, you will find with me that I have punched a hole between heaven and earth. And actually I contain within myself that kind of transcendence in immanence, the divine in the human. And that's a gobsmacking claim. And that would mean, as Nathanael thinks about it, you mean all those moments where I kind of meditated on Lake Galilee, all those moments of crisis of conscience when I felt the call of the divine to me to do this rather than that, that moment when I married my wife or whatever it was, those intangible but profound moments of engagement, you are actually the distillation of all of that. And what is amazing is that he then goes with Jesus. He actually, to some extent, trusts in this.
Yeah.
And that's why I think they have this in Epiphany Tide, this reading, because actually there is something of the glory and the authority of Jesus that's revealed to Nathanael and which commands this response from him. We often talk about the disciples being invited to follow, but it feels to me often there's a command here. And the very nature of the person making the statement is commanding, and Nathanael sees that and follows. Much more to say, but it's
clearly
it's an extraordinary start to his followership.
So I just pick up one point which it strikes me, the way in which he flip-flops and flip-flops from skepticism to, as you say, sort of gullible belief or incredible belief, and it makes me think. I've never been persuaded that people are argued into believing, or they can sit and have a rational conversation which will lead people to believing. And what he's demonstrating, there's no rationality from one to the other. What he's demonstrating is his response. Well, first of all, the flimsiness of his skepticism. And we might translate that into the flimsiness of people's atheism or agnosticism or whatever, but that the crucial piece in this is Philip, I think, echoing Jesus' words, "Come and see," and it's the experience of whatever that experience may be. And there's a very strange strand in modern Christianity which eschews the value of experience, but it's all about experience. It's got to make sense to you in your heart, in your being, and it's got to connect. And Philip saying "come and see" is literally come and experience something which I think will change the way you think and feel, not just how you think, but how you think and feel. But I was going to very briefly just to pick up on that last verse about the heavens open, and the angels of God ascending and descending upon the Son of Man. So it's a most peculiar image. It is, and we slide over it
as if the Son of Man is the ladder, or something.
And literally as if he is the ladder, and if you look at the whole of that first chapter, this is the last verse in the first chapter of John. Look at the whole of the first chapter of John. The first chunk is the prologue, which creates this incredible picture of who Jesus is as the one from the beginning, by whom all things were created, and then we get to the end, and it's almost like we've got another picture of this extraordinary person who, as you say, has punched a hole between heaven and earth, which is exactly what the one who is the creator will do. That it transcends all of that, and that the angels of God ascending and descending means that the way to heaven, the way to that connection, is only through him. He is the one. But now, when John's writing this, it's not to say, you only come because you're a Christian, not a Jew, or you only become because you believe in Jesus and not something else. This isn't a sort of comparative religion exercise. This is, if you follow people like David Ford and their understanding of the context in which John's Gospel is written, if you look at 1 John, which is a very divided early church, he's writing this as a statement of what it means to be the church. There is only one focus for this church. There is only one ladder to climb. There is only one way which will connect us to between heaven and earth. And I think there's something quite profound, because it's almost a sort of recapitulation of the prologue, but with a different image to make us try and get the same point again.
Yeah, yeah. And going back to your point about experience and reason, it's not that we are against reason in any form, but as a philosopher like Wittgenstein said, proofs for God's existence come into the argument too late to be of any use to anybody, whether they're atheists or theists, because actually we've already had a sense of come and see there. And I was very taken, I mentioned it to you when we were dwelling in the Word yesterday, by that American writer who said that atheism in the West is not a rational conclusion so much as a mood.
Yeah.
And I thought that was fascinating observation. And how do you engage with a mood? Well, you engage with a mood with a different mood.
Yeah.
So what is the mood of the Christian faith, if you like?
Well, and you said to me yesterday, you engage with the mood by a presence, and that's precisely what Philip understood. You know, he engages with Nathanael's mood of being skeptical, with, okay, I'll give you an experience, a presence that will perhaps shift that mood.
Yeah.